Right out the gate, Vladimir has been taken away. Dignitas removing that from CLG.
Yeah, it's something that Nien plays a little bit. Nien has close to the largest champion roster of everyone who's played, so he does have a lot of champion diversity despite being new to the role. It actually kind of comes with Nien picking up champions and learning the role that he's able to start with such a wide champion pool, because it's not like he's channeled in 100 games on a champion at this point. But it's an interesting bad mind Dignitas. Really, I think, a counter at Nien.
That's something that Nien was even saying in the build-up to these. He likes to prepare for the role by spamming loads and loads of champions. The follow-up bans, Graves, Jace, and Nunu. Obviously taking Graves away from KiWiKiD. It's been his go-to AD carry throughout the summer split.
Specifically because Imaqtpie loves to just try the spike Graves build. He'll go Static Shiv and Bloodthirster. And with the way Dignitas plays, always roaming around and trying to get the skirmish fights that are over quickly and then taking those into odd man team fights, it's probably his best AD carry at this point. So it's another very targeted ban by these guys.
One last ban remaining. It is going to be Zed taken out, so Shen and Zed removed from the pool. It does mean that Elise is still open and available, and it's something that, you know, is favored by both of these squads in this matchup. So we'll see what they decide to log in. KiWiKiD with a big smile on his face. We're not believing any of this fishy business.
Well, it is his favorite champion. He talks about it all the time. He loves playing it, but it's not something that he's probably going to be pulling out here because, as you said, that Elise is the important pick in this game. It's something KiWiKiD played a whole bunch of before, and it's something Nien would have absolutely locked down if KiWiKiD didn't just change.
Yeah, it's something we've even seen you know, in Crumbzz' hands in the jungle as well throughout the course of the split. So it's one of those versatile champions that can go anywhere. Makes life a little bit more difficult for predicting the type of composition that you're coming up against. So it has been locked in. So the Elise is now secured. Hovering over Scarra, and I think this is a little bit of toy. I think there's a little bit of bait here from CLG.
It's a dangerous path these guys are going down with all this mind gaming we have with each other. There's been times in the past where they picked the wrong champion by doing stuff like this, but not today. Nien picking the Twisted Fate most likely for Link. I gotta say Link is probably the best Twisted Fate in North America, and then bigfatlp's Nocturne, specifically not because he farms a crazy amount, but because of the way he denies vision with the Nocturne ultimate in a timely fashion. He's not just using it for the move block. Makes those both exceptional picks for CLG.
And of course, all the global and quasi-global pressure cannot be discounted either. Over on the other side, a very quick lock-in of that Lee Sin and that Sona. So we're starting to see some form of compositions take root. Dignitas already with a lot of mobility on their side of the map.
And a lot of skirmishing potential too, because Elise and Lee Sin can fly all over the place and probably win a 2v2 against anyone in this game. So look for Crumbzz and KiWiKiD to try to buddy up a lot in this game and make plays happen around Nien and bigfatlp's ultimate cooldowns.
It's going to be very scary because if they're not in the right place at the right time, it could end up backfiring for them. 10 seconds left on the clock. CLG looking to lock in. Most likely Thresh for support. It is Chauster's Thresh as well, and it's something that he has been steadily improving over the course of the split.
It's something he's definitely putting a lot of time and investment into, because I feel like CLG plays their best when they pick Janna or they pick Sona for Chauster, but they recognize the power potential of Thresh, and they consistently put Chauster on it game and game again. Every game he's played on Thresh has gotten better, but I still don't think it's at a point where it's his top champion, but yet they continue to pick it. So they're in third place with the way they've gotten here with Thresh, so maybe this will take them through.
And a very scary lane combination as well when paired up with that rat.
Absolutely.
All of the low-level damage with Expunge.
And you were mentioning earlier that with Draven's bleed change, Twitch seems to be supplanting his role a little bit in that, well, he's got poison.
Yeah.
That's really kind of like a bleed now if we're just being creative with names here. It's just green and true damage. And the bullying potential of that lane is very similar to what you can get with the Draven if Twitch gets a little bit ahead of it.
And we'll see if they can manage to make that work. Over on the other side, Dignitas hovering over that Vayne does switch over. So still deciding what they want for their AD carry. It has finally been locked in. Going back to the Varus. Varus has always been a priority as far as AD carries are concerned. But the Kassadin.
Especially for Imaqtpie, just to touch on the AD carry point really soon. Imaqtpie almost always picks laning champions against CLG and Doublelift. Even though he doesn't say he respects Doublelift as AD carry, he'll always pick a Caitlyn or a Varus just so he can try to bully the lane or at least out-farm him at one point. The Kassadin is, of course, the most interesting pick here because it's been forever since we've seen Scar's Kassadin, and it's something he's very proficient with.
And another champion that can just hop in and out of battle, kite, and plays into the skirmishes like you were talking about. CLG now sitting in a position where maybe they weren't anticipating the Kassadin, and all of a sudden they need to start thinking, what do we do? Because a lane matchup, Kassadin versus Twisted Fate, may be a little scary for Link if they go for that.
And CLG needs to make sure they have some lockdown potential or even some extended silence here. So we know that they still have a top lane choice to pick, and Nien has a very wide champion pool. That's very interesting. We need to think about this for a second.
So
it's either a Twitch or a Vayne that
Twitch
going to
mid
be ran
top?
in the top lane. There was a mid Twitch.
Froggen did it.
Froggen played.
Yep, that's my
Tenerife.
first pick.
But that wouldn't work for the Twisted Fate. Nien used to be an AD carry player, so he's going to be playing the second AD carry, I think.
35 seconds on the clock. So
top lane Vayne would be safer than top lane Twitch if they decide to go with this. But I feel like top lane Vayne will also get destroyed by Elise 1v1. So they're going to try to lane Vayne against Kassadin because Kassadin is weak to AD carries, and they're going to play a game of hide-and-go-seek trying to pick the right lanes. I think that's what's happening.
And it does look like it is basically coming to fruition right now. Clayton's flash sitting in Nientonsoh's back pocket, so you can assume that's going to be for Vayne. A very interesting composition coming out of CLG. They're 1-0 up in the matchup.
Yeah.
We were talking about it coming into this game, how they're going to play each other 3 more times in the next 3 weeks worth of games. Once this week, once next Friday. And if there's any time to pull something fresh and new that's going to help your team out, now's the time.
And speaking of CLG still, yesterday they lost to Velocity with the double AD composition with Link playing the second AD carry. Now they have Nien playing the second AD carry in another double AD composition. So 3 different players playing AD carry for CLG in the past 2 games. And the last one didn't necessarily work out for them. So this is CLG kind of telling the rest of the league, like they usually do, that they are onto something, even if it doesn't seem like it. So we'll see if this one works out for them.
One of the best things about losing when you run a composition is you figure out what went wrong. And we'll see if they've managed to figure out what went wrong from their loss yesterday, as they are pulling this double AD comp slightly differently off today. Dignitas, on the other hand, they've gone a little bit more traditional, dare I say that, even though they've stuck the Casted in there. But, you know, it's champions that we're a little bit more familiar with in the competitive scene.
And Scarra's got to be really happy about this matchup, because Kassadin against double squishy AD carries and a very squishy mid laner in Link is just the happiest time Kassadin's going to have in a game. He's going to have so many people that he can potentially blow up. He's just got to get farmed.
I love the word usage of potentially. He needs to get to that point first.
He does.
We'll see whether or not CLG can do any of those lane shenanigans to actually shut him down or slow him down. Right now, a 5-man CLG, they've managed to find out Crumbzz. The Duskbringer lands. The hook does not. And Crumbzz manages to just sneak his way away from that one.
Got a couple scratches on his back there from the Thresh Lantern, but it never quite grabbed him. It means CLG gets the deep ward into Dignitas' red buff. Well, that also just opened up the door for Dignitas to go into CLG's red buff area. I'd say this is probably the most common start we've seen of all this week, is the red buff ward swap, and then they just kind of both happily go back to their lanes.
And we'll see if anybody can make use of that information. Something that CLG will have to be very wary of is that very squishy Vayne up top. We'll see if Crumbzz is going to spend any extra time in that lane trying to help out Nientonsoh, or wherever he ends up, in fact. Right now, CLG staying together as they're actually going to try and get some vision or maybe even control of this blue buff.
I think that Dignitas is being very scared of where CLG goes right now, knowing that Link's gold card, if they caught someone off, would instantly chain into the Thresh Lantern, and it would be a kill if CLG were to catch Dignitas off guard in the jungle here. So that is why Dignitas is conceding so much in the jungle early on.
And luckily they haven't managed to get caught out just yet. But we do see CLG starting off this blue buff. The volatile Spiderling not going to make it into vision range, but KiWiKiD is going to walk past and spot this one out. So he's well aware of what's going on.
This one.
It's a gold card for his troubles. bigfatlp is going to smite that one away. So going to slow down his jungle a little bit.
KiWiKid's presence there was just to make sure that the smite was burned, and since Crumbzz had no threat on his red buff, Crumbzz is now going for the blue buff of CLG, and I'll be very interested to see if CLG tries to stop that blue buff invade, because they're outmanned here, knowing that bigfatlp can't give the jungle. I feel like CLG is just going to go to lane happily.
So it does look like that is the case. You can see both Chauster and Doublelift move into position. What we do see, though, is that Nientonsoh has picked his lane, and it is against the Castle.
And that's exactly the lane that CLG wants. Nientonsoh actually spent a fair bit of time at mid lane back in the Season 2 of competitive days, so he is familiar with the gank paths and how you position in here, as well as being a familiar AD carry player as he played for Marn in the spring split. This is exactly the matchup that CLG wanted, and we need to see if Scarra can survive the laning phase against an AD carry player such as Nien on Vayne.
As it stands right now, he hasn't managed to get too much damage down, but he is pulling a little bit ahead as far as CS is concerned, as is to be expected. And we are going to see straight-up matchups of our dual lanes in this bottom lane, and it's something that we're seeing a little more frequently now.
Exactly. It's been the story of the week almost. They're readjusting, even though the jungle spawners spawn times changed in the 3.8 patch. It's really in the 3.9 patch here in North America that we're seeing these teams go a little bit back to the standard lanes, and I love it's the Imaqtpie versus Doublelift lane, because Imaqtpie specifically picks laners that can outlane Doublelift's pick.
So we'll see how this goes to fruition. We've got two lanes where time will tell who's going to manage to pull ahead. What we do see, though, is Crumbzz has snuck his way up to this top lane, but bigfatlp has been sitting in the top lane bush for a little while. They're in position to counter.
It's telegraphed, though.
And it does look like they're going in. Gold card eats Crumbzz. The Igniter is down. The Fear Proc is going up, but Link is the one that takes a lot of damage. He manages to flash away from the Sonic Wave. bigfatlp has just decided to give up and starts backing away. A lot of action, but nothing really happening.
I don't think that gank surprised either team, only because Link was pushed up so far on Twisted Fate without wards in the top lane that is just saying, I know you're coming to gank me, which is why CLG had bigfatlp there, and that's why they just kind of met each other, said, well done, you played the same chess match as us, everyone back away.
If we do measure it up, we do see that KiWiKiD got away with his flash, though, which is something they did manage to burn from Link. So if Crumbzz can come spend a little bit more time, then maybe the next gank can work out for them. This mid lane, Nientonsoh 30 CS to his opponent's 18. Scarra is not being shut down, maybe quite as hard as Nien was hoping.
But the great thing about this for CLG is Vayne is already an AD carry who generally struggles to get far.
Down on the bottom lane, Exhauster is out. KiWiKiD pops his barrier. Chauster's trying to set up the death sentence. Catches Patoy, pulls him backwards. Carries on landing some auto attacks. Ignite is now burning away. Patoy forced to flash to
Teleport
safety.
behind him!
Doublelift picks up a kill with the expunge. Here comes Scarra. He's going to pick up the first one onto Chauster with one more auto attack. Does not have Rift Order available. Not needed as the hail of arrows closes out the rat.
And that's exactly what Dignitas needed in this lane setup. Even though Dignitas kind of lost the 2v2 lane that they'd picked to win, they ended up winning the fight because Scarra didn't care about his negative lane matchup in mid, already enacting some map pressure before level 6, before Link could match with Twisted Fate, and gives Dignitas some breathing room in these lanes.
It's not over yet as KiWiKiD jumps onto Link. His little spiderlings get eaten up by the tower, and Link is running low on HP right now.
And Link needs to survive in this lane, which is why bigfatlp is giving him so much help. Twisted Fate is not a good top laner.
Gold card is picked. It's going to lock up KiWiKiD, but they trade stuns for a cocoon. KiWiKiD gets feared and thrown off to the side, so he can't dive himself onto Link. He's got no ignites available either, and eventually KiWiKid's going to get away with that.
And that was very curious because KiWiKid's repel was on still a 10-second cooldown by the time CLG went in, but the way that Link was approaching that fight was as if he was scared of KiWiKiD jumping right on top of him. CLG could have been more aggressive in that 2v1 gank, and I think they could have punished KiWiKid's lane positioning there, but they decided not to.
So the mind game's working out in favor of KiWiKiD and Dignitas. The pressure is not over yet as Crumbzz has once again showed himself in this top lane. He's bumped into bigfatlp. They're trading a little bit of blows back and forth, but nothing coming from this fight.
And Link is doing an exceptional job surviving against KiWiKid's Elise here. Elise is one of KiWiKid's favorite and most proficient top laners, whereas Twisted Fate has no business being in the top lane in this 1v1 matchup. Plus, both the junglers have essentially lived up there, and the fact that Link is only 37 to 44 minion kills down is a testament to his skill on Twisted Fate.
So very well played there. He's keeping themselves in it. We do see Scarra has snuck himself up to this top lane. This is going to be a 3-man dive. Link just gets popped and evaporates underneath the tower. A repel goes in and throws Elise up into the air. bigfatlp is the next target. He flashes away to safety. Scarra gets away with 100 HP. KiWiKiD comes back in. bigfatlp is still alive. He is on 14 hit points.
Here's Nien!
Picks up a kill from behind. That's a double kill on Nientonsoh, and bigfatlp survives with single-digit HP.
And finally there, we see Nien mirroring Scarra's movement and really making CL and Dignitas pay. It is very dangerous to try a 3v2 turret dive just because that's not much of an advantage just because of the turret. And since Nien made it all the way up there, the dive was very well avoided by Dignitas. A little sloppy by Dignitas and well avoided by CLG. These teams play each other so much, you always get a little bit confused. But Nien really getting the dividends. of that fight.
And we'll see what he decides to itemize into. 2 kills is definitely going to help him out. He's got double the CS of his lane opponent. And that's actually 2 lane ganks that we've seen from scarra. 1 thanks to the teleport, 1 thanks to the roam. Nientonsoh is feeling very brave.
Look out.
He's going to run himself into 2. Tumbles away to safety, immediately cleanses it out. Knocks scarra away, but the Riftwalk pulls him right back in. Crumbzz carries on with a chase. He's going to dive over to the ward. That looked like a flash from scarra. Null Sphere plus 1 more Riftwalk closes it out.
That was not a very timely condemn on scarra right there. During the quarter-second cast time of Riftwalk, scarra got knocked back without the stun, so he just came in right over the top, and it was as if the condemn didn't do anything. So Nien was exploring. He got caught out and punished for it by Dignitas.
So 4th kill of the game is secured for Dignitas and makes it 100 gold that separates these 2 teams. They're farming relatively evenly once you balance out all of the numbers. And of course, thanks to that Twisted Fate passive, CLG will be earning a little bit extra bang for their buck with each creep picked up. And we do see that bigfatlp and Crumbzz, they've definitely signaled which lanes they want to spend more focus on. But now Link has moved to the mid lane, so this might change up the pattern.
And I really wonder how they're going to do in their respective lanes now, because once scarra hits level 6, it actually makes it too difficult for Nien to lane against him, because scarra can just trade too much damage with him up front, which is why they put Twisted Fate into the mid lane. But now is where Nien really has to start to struggle, because Elise's power spike is around level 7 to 9, and that is not Vayne's power spike. So we'll see if Nien can survive this lane against KiWiKiD.
Right now, Crumbzz is already moving himself up. He stood right on top of a ward, so the whole of CLG are going to be well aware of the Blind Monk's positioning, and they're not going to be doing anything to reveal that the more time you can delay, the better.
And this is actually where the junglers are this game. They're just in the top lane, and that's why bigfatlp is waiting in the wings. The difference in this fight is that there is a Nocturne ultimate and a Twisted Fate ultimate that can potentially join, and scarra's teleport is not off cooldown yet.
There goes the Paranoia, diving himself forward onto Crumbzz. Gold card lands. Dragon's Range kick kicks Nocturne away to safety, but Nien is chasing. Gets a lot of damage down. The Kitem is going to be able to pick it up. First kill of the game, but they trade 1 for 1. Now Nien carries on chasing. The Repel throws him up in the air, but there's nowhere to go. Nientonsoh decides not to chase, and KiWiKiD gets away with his life.
Even so, that seemed like a great play for CLG. The fight bottom.
Imaqtpie gets pulled all the way backwards. The box is up. He gets popped by the expunge before the box can even get broken.
All right, we're going to cover both of these. I'll get back to what just happened bottom lane because I need to cover top first. Everything was burned by CLG in that gank, but because it was traded 1 for 1, that's actually a win for Dignitas. Then in the bottom lane, Imaqtpie had no business being there. His support was gone, and he was still pushed up to the turret, so CLG capitalized by landing a hook for Chauster.
So well played to at least get that advantage. Chauster and Doublelift putting the first real damage onto this bottom lane tower. And it's the most significant that we've seen of any of the lanes. We haven't seen this very early tower pushing that we've been seeing in many of the other games. And that's mostly due to those straight-up matchups.
And I really like this type of game because it's 5 kills to 5. It's not like they're sitting in lane and farming. There has been a lot of lane roaming and lane just tomfoolery as everyone's been everywhere. For an example, the last 3v2 we saw top lane was because Nien had a disadvantage in that lane.
And Link's been caught out once again. Crumbzz and scarra diving onto him. 1 more hit's needed. The Riftwalk closes it out. And Crumbzz and scarra once again pairing up, making buddies, and finding a CLG member to kill.
And Dignitas is superior in the skirmish game, assuming that the ultimate cooldowns of Twisted Fate and Nocturne are down. So Dignitas is continually catching CLG just in transit back and forth from lanes, and it's paying off a little bit for them here. It's just that pesky Twisted Fate gold that's keeping CLG ahead in there.
So right now, Doublelift down on the bottom lane. We haven't watched this lane all too much. 85 CS to 85. Got an extra kill over his opposing number. And it's a matchup that it's still very close, at least as far as the metrics are concerned.
Which lane was that again? Sorry?
Bottom lane, Varus and Twitch.
Exactly, and that lane is another lane that actually is going in CLG's favor because Chauster's Twitch Thresh combination with Doublelift isn't super feared, but this is again the skirmish game Dignitas trying to force.
And take a look at this. Scarra and Crumbzz once again roaming. This is the 4th or 5th time Scarra's joined a body. Nientonsoh very low on HP, down to about 50% up. KiWiKiD is going to be able to repel away and manages to get away from Vayne's ultimate timer.
And Nien is trying to lifesteal up as much as possible to survive the poke of KiWiKiD. The very interesting thing here is, though, that Link's ultimate is up. In fact, CLG has a fair chunk of ultimates, and Dignitas is going for a fight.
The crescendo locks up bigfatlp. You can see Link, he doesn't want to take a ride in the lantern. He's manages to just walk away. bigfatlp goes down, and Dignitas just jumped on him before he could react.
And that was a smart peel by Dignitas. It'll be interesting to see how they continue this fight.
They just carry on chasing. They've managed to land right on top of Chauster. He's looking to get away to safety. He gets dropped. Scarra continues the chase, and he's dived on top of Doublelift. The spray and pray was thrown out and dealt a lot of damage, but no kills.
And Link did not decide to partake in that fight. He was pushing up the mid lane, trying to increase CLG's overall gold advantage, but they gave up 2 kills in the process and didn't get an objective in return, so that was great moves by CLG, assuming that they can save these turrets.
So Link is going to try to do the best he can. He doesn't necessarily have the most amount of ability power or attack damage to kill it on this wave, but if he's left alone for long enough, sure as hell he'll take that down.
And Link is not having a friendly game right now. Top lane Twisted Fate with increasing jungle action going at him again and again. So he is more of a team utility member here. He just wants to survive and contribute in whatever way he can, because this is not, at current point, a Link carry game.
So we do see now Dignitas, Scarra, and Crumbzz. They've moved in.
Great
The
steal.
dragon gets stolen away. bigfatlp does have his flash available. Spell shield goes up. He blocks some of the damage, but it's only a matter of time. He grabs the lantern. He gets away thanks to Chauster's positioning. Scarra has not given up the chase, though. Now he finally backs away. But they lost the dragon.
That's the friendship save right there. But the skirmishing continues here. And this game is too fast-paced for CLG right now. They need to slow it down if they want to get out of Dignitas' roam zone.
One of the things that could help them slow it down is a little bit maybe superior vision. If they're able to know where their opponents are, they can react, because Crumbzz and Scarra are basically walking to lanes. Teleport is up for Scarra if he wants to set up any sort of ward teleport gank, however.
And the great thing that's happening for CLG right now, if they can slow the game down, is Nien's farm total. Holy crap, 3 kills and 126 gold, plus he started to win that lane against KiWiKiD. This is fantastic performance by him in the top lane.
He throws on that final hour, tries to chase down KiWiKiD, actually gets the teleport out of Scarra. That's a Rift Walk into a flash, insta-flash from Nientonsoh, plus another tumble. Scarra's going to carry on chasing. Null Sphere and Force Pulse is good damage, but not enough to lock him down.
Nien is going to try to turn this side lane Vayne into a 1v1 split-pushing duelist, like he would a Zed or an Elise in other games.
Right now, Chauster is going to be forced to flash away. He's going to pull himself over the Wraith Camp. Doublelift is going to get revealed. Can he get to the lantern? That's the question. He goes down before he can take a ride. Another kill on the board for Dignitas.
Doublelift, that was an untimely stealth reveal right now, and that punishes CLG because they will have severe troubles holding this turret. They don't have the wave clear to prevent Dignitas from taking this.
And they've completely given it up. You can see bigfatlp and Chauster have just backed all the way off. Link continues to push on that bottom lane, and he's trying to get some form of pressure in place, and he's putting a lot of damage on this tower.
And this is Dignitas going in!
The crescendo's down, bigfatlp is locked up. Nientonsoh manages to get away thanks to his cleanse. He's put some damage down, but it's not all that much. Link is trying to find a place to get involved. The Destiny is up, but it is timed out. He's managed to make it to the mid lane. Now Chauster's been jumped on. He gets dropped as the rest of Dignitas are pressuring the tower.
But Link flashes in from behind. CLG might turn!
He carries on chasing. Spray is out. Doublelift is trying to get one down. The Expunge is going to be able to pick it up. Sona gets dropped, but Dignitas should be mostly happy with that.
The pacing of this game is absurd. Dignitas is forcing it every single turn, and CLGs cannot keep up despite having Twisted Fate and Nocturne. This is their first step in getting back to it because of Link's collapse from the bottom lane. They're taking a turret for an answer.
Second tower of the game. They'll even that one up with Dignitas. And it is, of course, that very important mid tower that's down. So now both lanes, their top tower and bottom outer towers are still standing. Link got a lot of damage onto Dignitas' bottom lane tower during that push, though.
And I think he's going to be going back there. This is such an interesting game, Quickshot. 17 kills in under 17 minutes across the board. The gold is actually very close. Even turrets, 1 dragon to 0, and it's because Dignitas needs to outpace CLG if they don't want to get taken aback. Since Dignitas has been winning games by split pushing and skirmishing, CLG picked a team comp that can do that as well, which is one of the reasons we're seeing so many frequent team fights, because it's very rare we're seeing a 5v5. Everyone's trying to create pressure at different points on the map, and then the other team is going to stop them from doing that instead of just trading objectives, which is why we've gotten so many kills.
One thing in terms of the objectives that did go in favor of CLG a moment ago was that blue buff steal from Nientonsoh. Thanks to all that pressure he's put down in the top lane and taking that tower, he's able to safely invade, pick that one up, and you've actually seen 2 pink wards there in the top half of that jungle for CLG, so well aware that his opponents have no vision, and he was safe doing so.
And those pink wards serve a double purpose as well, because if Nien ever wants to hide in that part of the jungle or try to want to run away, the stealth from his tumble isn't going to be real, and Dignitas will never get juked in the jungle by Nien if he's trying to juke through those pink wards.
Members of Dignitas looking like they want to once again return to this top lane. Scarra's walked his way back up here. And you can see Crumbzz not too far away, getting a little bit of vision reveal. Nientonsoh. Now, they've got some numbers advantage. They may want to put pressure on that tower.
I'm very curious to see how this game's going to evolve into a teamfight phase, because this is the third turret getting taken by Dignitas. I think they're going to be able to get this one. Actually, Twisted Fate is coming around to stop, and Dignitas is scared off a little bit. But if these outer turrets get taken, the map is going to be so open, and the already large amounts of skirmishing we've been seeing might actually multiply into even more action.
So we do see that just the presence of Nocturne and Vayne was enough to make Dignitas back off a little bit. Destiny still not available, but Link is close by, and they're actually going to give this one up. You know, just position. They weren't willing to pick that fight.
It was not worth that turret at this point in the game. The percentage gold that it adds to Dignitas is small enough that the loss Dignitas CLG would have taken if they lost that fight would have been a Baron. Very smart to just give that one up.
So right now the pressure continues as the wave is onto the inner turret. That is a 5-man stack here for Dignitas, but they haven't revealed their full strength of numbers, hiding a little bit out of sight, and down in the bottom half you can see Sona and Castellan just waiting in the rafters. Flash Crescendo not available for Patoy yet, but the longer this drags out, the more it is.
But again, Doublelift is off split pushing, so this is telling Dignitas it's their time to go. And Dignitas might even consider diving into CLG's base, knowing CLG has no true tanks right now.
Doublelift has started the recall. The timer is on for when that opportunity is available. They decide against it, playing it safe and back away. And that instantly means Doublelift cancelled his recall.
Yeah, this is a mind game right now about how much Dignitas can take before Doublelift goes back to the base, because there's no way CLG will engage a 4v5 onto Dignitas. So wherever Dignitas goes, they can take uncontested turrets. The first contest they'll see is at this turret.
So 5 towers to 3. We're on the inhibitor turret. Dragon's about to respawn. The hook manages to catch Crumbzz. Scarra's off to the side. Paranoia gets used, denying that vision as Chauster and bigfatlp are about to get locked up by that chain of corruption. Nobody has died yet as Scarra's gonna find the first kill onto Chauster. Now Nientonsoh, his final hour. He gets the stun against the wall. Scarra is actually dropped down in the fight. Destiny from Link throws him forward, but he gets killed before he can get anybody of himself. A great cocoon locks up bigfatlp as Nientonsoh is now in the background.
And it's 2 for 2. Doublelift actually came back to base, bought home guards, and tried to join that fight, but because Dignitas was pulling away quickly enough, he never made it there. That was a tremendous save at the end by Crumbzz, not falling to Link, being able to juke out the damage, and then bigfatlp didn't hit his Duskbringer at the very end there to take anyone down, but because CLG has such high health after that, they're going to be able to take an objective.
So well played to secure the Dragon, managing to take that one away from their opponents, and Link just got shredded the moment he appeared after that Destiny. The burst damage that comes down from that top lane Elise and mid lane Castellan was too much for him to handle. He's trying to get his Zhonya's to survive.
And that's what he needs to do this game, is he needs to pull off initiations like that, but then be able to Zhonya's and stop Dignitas from just exploding him. Once you're 1 and 4 here on Twisted Fate as he just completed the Zhonya's, that's his job. It's not like CLG is lacking in damage with Vayne and Twitch. They need to have midline distractions and things that allow Nien and Doublelift to actually get off their auto attack. So smart build by Link for having a bad game.
So we'll see how well his next Destiny engage works. 50% of the cooldown has been burned for that Destiny, so it won't be too long before it's up and available again. And with 5 towers down, Dignitas need to be very aware of their positioning when they go down the map. Because like you've highlighted already, they can get caught out by CLG at so many different opportunities.
And I think we need to highlight as well how different this game is from the week 1 matchup, knowing that Doublelift and Imaqtpie both had over 500 farm in that game. And this game hasn't even had much farming because they've been killing each other so much. These are very low CS numbers for being almost 22 minutes in. The highest in the game being 164 is almost unheard of in a CLG versus Dignitas game.
And trying to farm one another's champions as opposed to one another's minions.
It's a pretty fun way to play.
It is the order of business for the day right now. Blue buff is respawned. This is going to be Scarra's first blue buff in quite a while, actually, as CLG has denied the previous one. And Castellan's going to be very happy maxing out that tier of the goddess as quick as possible.
And we said before the game that Scarra was going to be licking his chops before this one, and he's about to go try to eat Doublelift and Nien. Eating rats is ill-advised sometimes, but at least Scarra is strong enough to do that right now. He's 5 and 2 after having to go through a tough laning phase because he's been able to roam around and get so many good kills.
We'll see how much damage he can spread across the members of CLG who are particularly squishy. Crumbzz is just farming up this mid lane very deep. He doesn't even have the best support super close by, but the rest of the team is pushing this bottom lane, and Dignitas are just really playing this map very, very well.
And I'm not actually sure who wins in a 5v5 team fight because both these teams are built around skirmishing. It's really all about who gets instantly killed first, and that could decide the team fight. If Scarra goes in, or if he gets stunned when he goes in, is going to be very key.
And here they go, Destiny is being channeled, Link joins the party, instantly Zonya's up. Five members of Dignitas are jumping onto Link down in the background, the box is down, first victim to fall is going to be Imaqtpie. In the background, Scarra is now taken out, Link still has a full HP bar as Chauster's trying to apply some pressure. He has the red buff as well, he's slowing Crumbzz down, Doublelift the bigfatlp are going to zone him out. Nientonsoh managed to get away with his life, he manages to pick up a kill. Nientonsoh trying to survive off those wolf camp, trying to get some HP back. Crumbzz gets out alive, but a 1 for 4.
Despite the miraculous play of Crumbzz at the end of that fight, that was a disaster for Dignitas. I guess that kind of answered my question there of who's going to be winning the team fights here, but that's because of how well CLG played that fight. Link got the Zhonya's initiation he wanted, and then it allowed CLG's 80 carries to just rain chaos upon Dignitas. Doublelift got off spray and pray on almost everyone from Dig, and he did not get hit by the crescendo, which was the second key. Since Nien and Doublelift were spread in that fight, it confused the Dignitas targeting, and it allowed the 80 carries to carry that fight.
If CLG can continue to position themselves like that in team fights, it will bode well. And as it stands, they are still behind. They are 2 towers down, 2 kills down, and 1,000 gold down. So it's not all, rosy and sunshine for them right now. 2 members of Dignitas starting off this Baron, and they're going to try to take this as quick as they can.
And there are no CLG wards directly on this Baron, but they sense something is up. They have to go get a ward inside. They can't reveal it with Twisted Fate. They got to fight soon.
Baron is down to 3,000 HP, down to 2,500. CLG are trying to position. Baron's been taken. KiWiKiD's the one that actually picks that up. Smite was used, but a little early. Link is focused. He gets the gold card off. He's shut down. Killed, taken out by Lee Sin. Now Doublelift trying to get away to safety. The rat has been killed. He was caught in the trap. Chauster's doing the best he can to run away, but the Chain Warden gets dropped. 3 kills for no reply from Dignitas and the Baron.
A total reversal of what we saw in the last teamfight because CLG never had time to set up teamfight lines, and they were down their important ultimates. There was no spray and pray in that fight, so he could not slice through Dignitas' team. Plus, the Baron was secured before CLG could contest. Dignitas is going to try to take as much as possible after that huge teamfight win.
Fantastic positional play and awareness that they could get that Baron down. Teleport comes out from Scarra as he's trying to find Nien now. I think Nien's aware of this. He's picked a fight with KiWiKiD, condemns him to safety. He's been silenced, cleanse away, tumbles to safety. He's not going to be enough. The fangs get sunk in and he's dropped yet again.
And the fights just continue. CLG trying to get rid of this Baron buff.
bigfatlp is doing the best he can against 3 members. Link joins the party from behind. Destiny's there. They both get locked up by
Doublelift's
Destiny.
here.
Here comes Doublelift. Spray and Pray is available in just a moment. Not going to need it just yet. He picks up a kill onto Patoy. Turns his focus now over to Crumbzz. We'll pick that one up as well.
So that fight in particular was a 2-for-1 for CLG. If we don't count the Nien death over in the top lane. All right. We're going to take count of this.
Take a breather.
What just happened, quick shot? So the goal lead now sits at 4,000 for Dignitas. The Baron is a pretty big part of that because it wasn't only a Baron, it was a large team fight win for Dignitas. What still exists, though, is CLG's knowledge that if they get the right team fight, they can obliterate Dignitas. Likewise, Dignitas knows if they can get through the fight lines of CLG and get a strange, awkward team fight where CLG is forced into initiation, they're going to crush him because Scar is strong enough to just wipe out 180 carry and then they'll lock the other one up in crescendo. So it's still a very interesting, undecided game.
It's definitely something that Dignitas will be aware of. The team fight they lost was thanks to them initiating, and you were talking about Scarra wanting to blow somebody up. The cocoon misses, but the forceful on the silence does not. Nien just gets obliterated. And that was 100-0 very quickly.
And it's fun to be a split push Vayne, but it's not fun to be Nien or a split push Vayne against Scarra's Kassadin right now, because even though that cocoon missed, Kassadin's not going to miss, and Nien cannot do that safely for the rest of the game.
So 20 seconds left on his death timer before he's able to help defend his base. He's not picked up any of those home guard boots just yet. Chauster takes a lot of poke down. His Link comes rushing in. His feet are on fire. Gold card was prime, but decides against it. This would be a 4v5 at the best.
And there's still Baron on 3 members of Dignitas, plus CLG only has 4 people alive, so they may lose their second inhibitor of the game here.
Now, Nientonsoh has just respawned. Home guards are up. He's trying to pick a fight. They get the gold card down onto Scarra, but it's not enough as he rift walks to safety. Inhibitor taken down. Dignitas in a power position.
And CLG has been in the position of having their inhibitors down, I'd say more than most teams have this split, and they've been able to come back from it a couple of times. They are very good at drawing out games. Keep in mind, this was an extremely accelerated game from the very start of it. We're only 27 minutes in for the 34 kills and 11 turrets that have been taken down. CLG's still yet to slow Dignitas down here, and since the super minions aren't knocking on CLG's base quite yet, CLG might actually be benefited by trying to get a fight on CLG if CLG continues to push.
All right, we'll see.
I got the teams mixed up again. No.
If Dignitas continue to push. We knew what you meant, chat.
Damn it.
Right now, Dignitas, they are recalling, going to be able to spend some of that gold that they have accrued over the last portion of gameplay. Dragon has respawned again, and Crumbzz is going to be able to solo this one up under the knowledge that his opponents, they simply can't leave their base, really. And if they do, it's a very risky play.
They're totally trapped in here. CLG was a part of that TSM game where CLG's minions took down TSM's entire base, so we're not expecting CLG to leave their base undefended, which gives Dignitas complete freedom over the jungle here.
One of the things that does play into CLG's favor somewhat is the fact they've got 2 AD carries. So all of the minions and creeps that are now pouring into their base, they should be able to handle them a little quicker than some other compositions, albeit they don't have the best AoE clear.
Still, AD carries are the best things to have in base when you're clearing against super minions. You're absolutely right in that assessment. It's just a matter of how much pressure Dignitas puts on the other turrets while CLG is off farming, because while these 2 inhibitors are down, there is essentially always a full-time defender. So Dignitas has a permanent 5v4 at the door of CLG's 3rd inhibitor.
And you were talking about the other turrets for CLG. They don't have many left.
No.
The last standing is in front of their inhibitor before you get onto those Nexus turrets. And Nientonsoh's clearing out the way of as best as he can. He's got that static shiv as well as the Blade of the Ruined King completed. Slightly different build to what we see out of your standard AD carry vein. Dignitas, they're just waiting for the minion wave before they even consider a dive.
And patience is the most important thing here for Dignitas. Knowing that the super minions will eventually draw either a Nien or a Doublelift back to their base means that Dignitas just has to wait for the 5v4 to happen, and rushing things or even positioning too far forward can be very detrimental.
Silence goes out onto bigfatlp. He manages to get that Shroud of Darkness shield up and blocks most of the damage. Doublelift and Nien actually double duty on those mid lane super minions. It's bought time for Dignitas to get damage on the tower. KiWiKiD gets pulled backwards. He repels up.
Man.
Chain of Corruption starts to spread. The question is, how important will this be? Chauster's looking to set them up. The Crumbzz goes all the way forward. He's got a Thornmail complete as well as that Rangian's Omen. They trade a lot, but it ends up stalling. The tower is still standing.
And CLG has to go back to their base because they just lost a Nexus turret.
Nexus turret down, Inhibitor turret down. Destiny starts getting channeled by Link. He's trying to find an opportunity to dive in there. The 3rd inhibitor is being bashed on by Dignitas. A flash hook. Crumbzz gets pulled backwards, but Doublelift and Nien both hit by the crescendo. Immediately, Doublelift is squashed under the boots of Dignitas, first to fall before Chauster follows suit. Nientonsoh is doing the best that he can. Link will close out the kill onto KiWiKiD as the rest of Dignitas take down the inhibitor.
Patoy's got to be the MVP of this fight for locking off both of the main threats for CLG in that fight. They got inhibitor number 3 and a Nexus turret for this push. The patience pays off for Dig, and they're just going to go back and buy some goodies.
Double super minions are now spawning down each of their respective waves, and the last standing Nexus turret, 160 HP. A warm breath will knock that over at this stage in the game.
Things are about to get real ugly for CLG here because the Baron's coming up in 10 seconds. They couldn't hold with 2 inhibitors down. They're now down a 10th turret of the game, and there's going to be 6 monstrous minions pushing up in total to their base, and 5 Baroned up members of Dignitas if Dignitas just takes it slow, which, despite Dignitas flying through this entire game, I feel like they're okay taking the now patient victory.
Something that we're still seeing across the board thanks to all of these kills, and that's more than a kill a minute right now. The farm totals are still very, very low. It's been a game of almost chess pieces, taking down the towers more importantly than just farming up towards items. The Baron has respawned. Dignitas have taken this one away completely uncontested thanks to that immense control they have on the map.
And the game has been all about skirmishing and finding more people in each fight. And Dignitas has just been better at that. That's what both compositions were generally built around. They weren't built around ideal team fighting or perfect positioning in team fights. It was just Dignitas who has outmaneuvered CLG for most of this game, and that's why they're now, with Baron, with Super Minions, piling down on CLG's base.
So CLG do have at least a moment of respite as the top lane inhibitor has respawned, but it won't last for long because Dignitas have their eyes set on it. Chauster is trying to look for the hook to set up another fight as Nientonsoh is joining from the side as well.
Last-ditch effort by CLG. They're trying to fight.
Spray and pray is up. The crescendo locks down Chauster. Nientonsoh gets the chain of corruption, locks him in place. The first to fall is bigfatlp. Followed suit is the support for CLG. Now Doublelift forced out of the fight.
Man.
Scarra is going to be able to pick that one up. In the background, they had managed to pick up Crumbzz, but it's simply not enough. Vayne and Twisted Fate, the last two members of CLG standing. Can Nientonsoh and Link go huge?
I don't think so. That's a few too many minions, man.
Destiny is being channeled. They throw him over. Link gets dropped. And Dignitas with an action-packed game from start to finish. That, I think, is the most kills we've seen in a long, long time in that short space of time.
That is not what we expected from a Dignitas for CLG game. Fights everywhere. Yes, we got to see double 80 carries from CLG, but we got to see much, much more from Dignitas in that match as they just sprawled themselves across the map and took out CLG one by one.
0 for 2 as far as the double 80 carry strat is concerned for CLG. They lost yesterday to Velocity, they lost today to Dignitas in very different styles. And you have to give props to Dignitas' ability to find champions to kill.
And Dignitas always says it's a little bit sweeter to beat CLG, only because of how much Doublelift likes to trash talk. They love having that over him every time they walk by him. It's like, so remember that last time we played when we killed you a bunch? That was really fun.
Big smiles across the entire team of Dignitas in that particular matchup. That win is going to be doubly important as they get ready towards, working towards playoffs. Dignitas now sitting 8-9 as far as wins and losses are concerned for the split.
It's a really big step for them because if Dignitas were to have lost that game to CLG, they would have been 2 games back and 0 for 2 on the season. Now everything is tied up for them as seeding is quite important for these guys moving in.
This middle of the pack is just going to get crazier and crazier as these weeks go forward. And we touched on it briefly in the beginning of the matchup. These two teams play again next week, Friday.
Yeah, and this game, if that's a preview of things to come, I definitely want to be casting that one because it's non-stop action and a lot of fighting. I think these teams will both have many adjustments to make for the next one. I think CLG is going to go back to the drawing board a little bit on the type of compositions they like to pick because this skirmish double AD style has not panned out for them this week.
It's good they're trying it at the very least.
Because it's the time for them to experiment rather than in the playoffs.
Correct. And at least luckily everybody is nice and tight in the middle of the pack to allow for some experimentation. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break. But when we return, Patoy from Dignitas will join us to talk about going out of week 6